So it's often the case as a composer that you can be brought onto a project and the team have some temp music that they've been cutting the edit to, that they've been working with in the build up, or maybe even during shooting. And today I just want to talk about my process of dealing with that situation as a composer, some of the positives of having demo music or temp music, and some of the downsides of it too. I've got a Pro Tools session open here with a piece of music that was sent to me with a film. So I'm going to dissect that, and I have recreated that piece, and I'll jump into that as well a bit and show you kind of how I did that and my philosophy around not getting too close to the original and getting into copyright issues. I'm going to start off just by playing you this film, playing you the piece of music that they sent me edited to the film, and then I'll immediately cut to mine, and you can tell me whether it's too close or whether I've accurately captured the vibe of the original without getting into copyright problems. This is a company called Good House Films, and they commissioned us to write the music for their company reel, so their portfolio reel. Here is my recreation of that piece. So we've got an original piece of music that's incredibly high in energy. It's all about forward movement. It's all about explosive energy. When analysing that piece of music, the thing that I gravitated towards first was just the pure intensity of those drums, and analysing the production style as a whole, which is just in your face, very compressed, very distorted. And I think it's a far safer bet to copy a production style than it is to start lifting chords, melody lines. You're going to get into trouble very quickly when you start doing that. So I completely rewrote all of the top line instruments, redid the synthesizers, some guitar, cut up some samples, just took it as far away from the original as I could, whilst trying to maintain that intensity and that explosive kind of power that the original had. So in my experience, you're not going to get into trouble from copying production styles or rhythms, unless you're Pharrell Williams on Blurred Lines, which I think was a kind of crazy, controversial ruling from the court. So I just want to talk for a moment about the positives and negatives of having a temp track arrive attached to a piece of film. A big positive in it is that it sets the direction of the project so very clearly, and it outsources a big part of the work of going back and forth with a team as a composer. If a production team really don't know what vibe that they're going for, or maybe just have incredibly loose ideas of what they would like, the process of going back and forth can go on for a long time. So that's a real positive of having a piece of music that the team are really excited about, that everyone's agreed upon, that there's consensus around, that this is the direction for the film. Everyone likes this. You've just removed a lot of time from the very beginning of the correspondence between a composer and a production team. I think the biggest negative of sending demo music or a temp track to a composer is that it can completely close off the possibility of being surprised. The moment the composer hears that piece, it can solidify that direction. And being surprised is a wonderful thing. And often you'll be hiring a composer because they have their own thoughts and ideas around how things can go, and that's a huge part of the skill set. This is really fascinating because it's two very different directions to take. On one hand, it's a huge skill set to be able to dissect an existing piece of music, analyze every element of it, and recreate that in a way that doesn't infringe on any copyright. That's a whole skill set in itself. It's another skill set to watch a film and imagine interesting directions that you could take musically within it. One very quick interesting example of this was I was watching the film Sea Beast with my kids the other day, and there's a scene where this giant sea monster is pulling a boat into a whirlpool in the ocean that it's created, and instead of going explosions and action and drama with the music, they completely flipped it and went the opposite and just added a very intense drone, which really upped the intensity of that scene in a way that was completely unexpected.
Time has come for ye devil. Lady Bramble! Cut those lines and I'll kill you for a coward!
And probably 9 out of 10 people would have gone for explosions, action, big orchestral, but flipping it on its head created a whole new interesting direction, and that's what you can miss out on if you squeeze a composer into a lane. And I really think every project is completely different, and every project dictates how the workflow goes. So that's my thoughts on this subject. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.